Bob, and welcome to Entrepreneurcast. It's such a great pleasure to have you with us today.
Well, thank you. I always love visiting with you. It's been much too long since I've seen you.
That's for sure. So, Bob, before we get going with the business side of things, tell us a little bit about who are you outside of your business and what do you enjoy doing in your spare time?
Well, I'd like to think I'm pretty much the same outside of my business as I am inside of my business. Probably the only difference is that I'm actually very introverted, and while a lot of my time in business, of course, if I'm on the road speaking, it's speaking in front of a large convention. Whereas when I'm not working, I really would prefer to be alone or in the company of a couple of close friends, and that's pretty much it. I enjoy reading a lot. That's my favorite hobby. A couple of TV shows I really like, and so I watch those. But really, there's no difference in who I am on stage or off stage in terms of who I am as a person.
Oh, wow. I cannot believe you are actually introverted. I
Oh, very.
remember when I met you, that's actually, I keep telling everybody the story. It just impacted me so much when we
Oh,
met for the first time.
thank you.
And I remember, I always tell people basically how, you shaked my hand and the way you were, keeping my hand and the way you were looking at me, it seemed like the whole world disappeared.
Oh,
So
well, thank you.
obviously you have some incredible communication skills, and you make people feel like there is nobody else. That's why I would
Thank you.
couldn't even imagine that you actually introverted.
Oh, thank you. Well, being an introvert doesn't mean you're not interested in others. It doesn't mean you're not a friendly person. It's just that really you derive your energy more from being alone or with very small groups than in very large groups. Now, when I'm speaking, I'm on stage in front of a lot of people, and I enjoy that very much. I love what I do, but I would not feel that same kind of energy if I was in the middle of a crowd at a big party or something. That I'd be
Hmm.
very uncomfortable only because it would sap my energy, and it's just not a feeling I enjoy. But if I'm speaking with someone, no, that's I'm always very interested in others, and so forth. And you're a delightful person, so it's very easy to be in a conversation with you. So but I
Thank
think
you.
I think extroverts derive their energy from the crowd, whereas an introvert derives their energy from being alone.
Hmm. So, Bob, tell us about your business, because obviously not everybody knows what you do. What do you do? What's your business about? And what inspired you to start it?
Well, in the very broad sense, I'm a speaker and author. So I write books and speak at a lot of conferences. Now, as I get older and I'm trying to unwind from being on the road so much like that, and I'm doing less out of town every year. Hence, we're doing more programs such as the Go Giver Sales Academy, in which people come to Orlando, which is just a drive for me instead of a flight. And we have smaller, we limit those to 10 people. So we have smaller, more intense, over a couple of days type of teaching. And we have a team of certified Go Giver speakers and so forth. So, and doing more over the internet. So the business is now really kind of shifting from it being very focused on the speaking to having speaking as one part of it, but really having a whole lot of other sort of areas that we're working with.
Brilliant. And what would you say your day-to-day life looks like? What's your usual day is like?
Well, I get up at 5:30, and something, I do something that a lot of people say not to do, but so maybe this is politically incorrect, I'm not sure, but I check my emails and social media right away. Now, I not while I'm still in bed. I don't even do that because I'm not that good on the with those little devices, the smartphones. I have them, but I use them mostly for email and checking and phone, for reading emails and so forth, not for going back and forth. I don't know how people do that all the time. But anyway, so I get up at 5:30, I go downstairs, say hi to my cat, Calvin, feed him, and then I'm checking my email, my social media, because I have a lot sort of that comes in overnight. So I want to get that out of the way. Again, I
Mm.
know the conventional wisdom is stay away from that until you're up for an hour or two, but I don't do that. So by about 6:30, as I'm wrapping that up, my trainer, Diane, she comes over. She comes over 6 mornings a week, and we work out. And 3 days I do work out right in my home. We do strength training, resistance training, and 3 days we do intervals outside. And then she makes my breakfast. She prepares my meals for the day because I have a real health thing right now where I'm really, I just turned 59. I never really enjoyed working out, but I could always discipline myself to do it. I find now that unless I'm accountable and I know she's coming over, I'm not going to work out and I'm not going to eat right. So she prepares all my meals for me in advance so I know what I can and cannot have during the day. We work out every morning at 6:30, and because of that, it allows me to have a semblance of keeping in good shape and good condition for an older middle-aged guy. And and then for the rest of the day is then projects. And so whether it's writing, whether it's writing up and recording a podcast, whether it's, I do a lot of interviews still. I'm still promoting the book, The Go Giver, 9 years later. And when we have a new book, of course, I'm promoting that. So yeah, that's pretty much what the what my day is, and it just kind of goes and goes until it ends.
Busy day.
Yeah, but I love it though, so it's it's worthwhile.
So, Bob, during our entrepreneurial journey, every person comes through a lot of challenges. All business owners and entrepreneurs go through a lot, and for everyone, it's very different. What would you say, if you don't mind sharing with us? What was your greatest challenge, and how did you manage to overcome it?
Well, back in I guess it was maybe mid to late 90s. This is when technology was really kind of coming into being a part of, it was really becoming a thing. Okay. It was getting to be more than just email. It was now a whole lot of, and I am not a very tech oriented person. Now, for someone who's on Facebook all the time and Twitter and LinkedIn and Skype and doing all, you think I am, but I'm really not. And when it looked like things were really changing and the internet and technology was really becoming a part of having a successful speaking business, I resisted it. And, I had a successful business and the way I was doing it was working. And I kind of let myself fall into that trap of, I'll be okay without that new technology stuff and everything's going to be fine and blah, blah, blah. And as things happen, it wasn't fine. And I ended up making some mistakes, and it really set my business back for a while. And I realized that, hey, it didn't matter. It's funny because people say in the world of personal development, which you and I are both a part of, there's that sort of what I call the political correctness, that we're supposed to kind of think things like, oh, change is good, embrace change, I love change. I hate change. Okay. I like things the way, when things are going well, I like them to stay the way they are, but that's not part of life. And so I kind of relearned a lesson that I knew but needed to relearn again. And so from that point on, I made sure that while I was never going to be a real techie person, I made sure I was always had people in business with me who were and who could lead me through it and guide me through it and help me. And my business partner, Kathy Tajanel, is a genius when it comes to that. So that really helps me a lot. But that was a real challenge for me. And what it did though is it said to me, hey, from now on, it doesn't matter whether you like change or not. That's not the issue. Whether you like it, is it going to be happening? And if it is, you have a choice: either go with it or be left behind.
Well, you seem to do pretty well now with technology, that's for sure.
Thank you.
So, Bob, I know you're obviously a very successful person, and you've done quite a lot and written books and everything. But what do you consider being the greatest success, really, of your career?
Hmm. I don't know if there's one. I mean, it's tempting to say that there's certain clients I have that have been very lucrative clients, or clients that I feel I've been able to help and so forth, and that's great. I don't know if if that rates as a what was the most. I think maybe it's just having a speaking career that's lasted over 25 years, in which I've been able to accomplish some things through it. And and that have been, you know, appreciated, I guess, by people in certain ways. So I would say that's probably it. More than one thing, it's a combination. You know, we've been able to sell over 1 million books altogether, and so yeah, being able to do some of those things has been rewarding, in that it feels really good to know that that the marketplace has recognized that I've brought some value to it. I would say that would be a feeling of of success.
Talking of books, I mean, I know you're an author, and we will come to that in a minute. But you know, a lot of people in business say that they came towards a point where they found this book that changed their life. Did you have such an experience?
I had many books that really made a significant impact in my life and changed me in certain ways. When I first got into sales, you know, I was not a good student in school. I didn't enjoy school. Actually, I hated school. I remember on graduation day, my high school guidance counselor passed by me and he said, "Burg, I can't believe I'm actually seeing you here." You know, he never thought I'd graduate. And then I always say my claim to fame with college was that I got into college on academic probation, which is no big deal. A lot of people do that, but I graduated on probation. You know, I mean, in other words, I just did not do well. I didn't get it, wasn't interested in it, which I regret now, of course, because I think that the greatest opportunity in being in school is simply learning how to learn. And rather than saying to myself, how am I going to use this when I'm out of school, which is probably a good question, a better question would be, how can I utilize this time to simply learn how to learn?
Mm.
But you know, a kid doesn't necessarily ask themselves those questions. But so, but it was after I graduated and I was in broadcasting for a while. And after I was finished with broadcasting, I got into sales. I was in my mid 20s, and being in sales, that's where I began to be a student. And I started reading books like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Carnegie, and Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. David Schwartz, and Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, and As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, and all these books. And then there were the Zig Ziglar books, and the Tom Hopkins books, and the Brian Tracy books, and all the. And I thought, wow, all of a sudden these worlds are opening up to me,
Mm.
and I'm finding myself being built on the inside and the result simply manifesting on the outside. And so, you know, I've read some books that have made a major, you know, I think of ones I've read recently, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which is a book that, oh my goodness, it just got, you know, to me. There's a book I just finished reading. It's got to be here somewhere. I'm not seeing it. And the title is escaping me right now, and I wish it wasn't, because it's such a great book. But but I usually have 3 or 4 books going at a time right now, at a time, and right now that's one of them. But so or I just finished that one. But so in other words, there's books that, you know, can really touch our souls. And so, you know, I advise people, keep reading, you know, build that library, and just realize that books are a treasure. You can just learn from OPW, other people's wisdom, OPE, other people's experience. And, you know, we often hear about OPM, other people's money, when it comes to investing, and that's fine. But there's nothing like other people's experience and other people's wisdom to learn what we need to learn.
Definitely. Well, obviously, you've read a lot of really good books, which I'm sure were a great inspiration earlier in life. But you are yourself a huge inspiration to a lot of people,
Oh,
and a lot of
thank
people
you.
I personally know, and to myself. But do you, Bob, yourself have people that inspire you, or personal heroes, I like to say?
Yeah, you know, well, I mean, my parents have always been my biggest inspiration. You know, they just, I guess they'll be celebrating 60 years of marriage coming up. A wonderful, fantastic couple who really set an example of what a marriage should be, and what being human should be. A huge inspiration to me. Growing up, it seems like I would meet people set great examples. Well, let me put this. There's an old saying, okay, there's a saying from the sages, who is a wise person? And the answer is that person who learns from all others. And we can learn from everyone. Now, Jim Rohn, the great speaker and philosopher, used to say, yes, we can learn from everyone. From some people, we learn what to do, and from other people, we learn what not to do. And
Mm.
that's, but there's been a lot, and I've had a lot of those that I've learned what not to do from observing them. But people who've inspired me, whether it's people, whether they're athletic figures or business figures or salespeople who just really had it together, I've been touched by a lot of them, and I just think of people who are doing such great things, Ingrid Vandervelt and Sharon Lecter and Lisa Copeland, three women who've started a group called EBW 2020, Empowering a Billion Women by 2020, have combined free market capitalism with financial acumen and empowering women to be able to build enterprises and be able to, these people are heroes to me. There's just so many people who I look at and I could, say, wow, I've been so inspired by what they do.
Bob, the question I like to ask just for fun, really, is where do you come up with your best ideas?
Where I would say probably that because I read a lot and because I listen a lot, ideas which are sort of a combination, any new thing that we come up with, because I don't think there's anything really new, but anything new, we'll put air quotes around it, anything new is kind of the offspring of a combination of other ideas.
Mm.
And so when you look at an invention, usually that invention is not so much new as it is reworked from
Mm.
other things. And so for this to happen and to have ideas, you sort of have to be paying attention to what's already out there. Now, I don't know if I'm totally right. There might be people who really have a knack for just boom. They just think of things that absolutely never were. But I don't know too many people like that. I think most of the great ideas, are the combination of other ideas, and somebody took it to a new level. And I think if I come up with anything, and I don't think I come up with a lot of new stuff, I really don't. But anything I do, it's because I've learned from someone else, and I just maybe put my own kind of personal twist to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Bob, obviously you have so much experience and wisdom. What would be your top three tips and strategies that you could share with the listener today in the world of entrepreneurship and business?
Okay, well, three. I think one would have to be to move from an I focus or a me focus to an other focus. I often say when I speak at a sales conference, I'll begin by saying, nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet. They're not going to buy from you because you need the money. They're not going to buy from you because you'd really like to make the sale, or even because you're a very nice person. They're going to buy from you only because they believe that they are better off by doing so than by not doing so.
Mm.
That's why that if you want to be successful in business, it can't be about you. The focus must be on bringing value to them. And it's only to the degree that you're able to communicate that value to them that they are going to do business with you. This is why John David Mann, my awesome author, co-author of The Go-Giver, he and I often say that money is simply an echo of value. It's the thunder, if you will, to value's lightning, which means the value must be first. That must be the focus, the value you bring to the other person. And the value you provide, the money you receive is simply a very natural and a direct result of the value you provide. So that's what I would say the first piece of advice, if you will. The second one would be, if there's something you want to do, don't try and reinvent the wheel, because the chances are someone has already done it, okay? And all you need to do is go out there and find out who has done it, watch their videos on YouTube or take their training or read their book or, whatever it is that they have that they put down into a system. What is a system? It's simply the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles. The key is predictability. If it's been proven that by doing A, you'll get the desired result of B, then all you need to do is A, and you know you're going to get the desired result of B. The third one is just simply, get past all the no's that you're going to get on the way to the yeses. My friends Andrea Waltz and Richard Fenton wrote a great book, a small business parable called Go for No. And the premise of the book is that yes is the destination, no is how you get there. And I think a lot of people, they start something and then they quit because they get some no's. And I don't think it's the no's that drive them out of business. I think it's that they think they're the only ones having to go through all those no's. And they think the other people who have gotten to the successful place they wish they were, they think, oh, that just happened for them. People said yes, and that's not the case. So as long as you go into business or into any project knowing in advance that you're going to get many more no's than yeses, okay? Now you're okay, because when you get a no, it's expected. You know it's going to happen, okay? And it makes it so that you can keep going until you get the yeses.
I think sometimes people know that they will get the no's, but then when they get them, then that kind of strikes them and they think, no, that's too hard.
Right.
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you for that. And Bob, did you come during I mean, you obviously said that technology was one of the things that helped you to go forward, but did you come across any specific resources that you believe would help any entrepreneur or business owner to make their life easier?
Kathy Tajanel handles all of our technical things. I mean, I do all the things myself: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I post everything. All of that. But that's easy because you don't need any technical knowledge for that once you know how to do it. But as far as tools such as Infusionsoft and some of the other contact management, Kathy does all that. I don't even know how to do it. She knows how to do. She's an expert with all that. And so the things we do for our webinars, the things we do for our contact management, and for the different, sure, we'd use all these resources, but I couldn't really tell you what they are other than Infusionsoft and things like that, because I fortunately don't have to involve myself with that personally.
So I guess the best resource for anyone would be to have a PA.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Kathy is actually my business partner. She runs the business. I'm the guy that gets all the credit, but she's the guy. She's the guy, the person, the woman who runs the business. But yes, if you can get a PA who can do a lot of those things, that I would always say outsource what you can outsource. That doesn't mean you can abdicate, but yes, when you can delegate, then sure, I would say that. What everyone really needs is a Kathy, but not everybody is, fortunate enough to have one. So, but yeah, I hear you.
Well, I also believe that for a lot of people, a great resource would be your book. So,
Oh,
would you
thank
just
you.
tell us more about your books and the maybe a little bit about the story behind them?
Sure. Well, The Go-Giver is a business parable, so it's a short, quick read. It's a business lesson and a life lesson in the form of a story, co-authored with John David Mann. Now, John David Mann is the lead writer. He's the real storyteller. I'm more of a how-to. I'm step one, step two, step three. So it was a good collaboration with John and me. And it's about a guy named Joe, who's a young, up-and-coming, good guy, and he's ambitious and he's aggressive, but his focus is really in the wrong place. It's very much on himself. Everything is about himself. And, why, the people owe me this and that, and why aren't I more this and that, and so forth. And so he meets a mentor and a series of people he's introduced to. And he really learns a very important overarching lesson. And that is that shifting your focus, and this is really the key, shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing value to others. That doing so is not only a nice way to do business, it's a very financially profitable way as well. Not for any way out there woo-woo reasons. It makes practical sense. Again, when you move from that I focus or me focus to that other focus, always looking for ways you can benefit the customer, the prospect, the person you just meet, the referral source, what have you. People feel good about you. They know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to see you succeed. They want to be a part of your life. They want to be your personal walking ambassador. And it's a lot easier to do business that way when you have a whole team of people who are rooting for your success. And so, he learned that, and as he made those shifts in focus, he saw himself achieve, some significant levels of success.
And I believe in the end of the book, I read that you took examples from different actual real stories in life.
Yeah, the overall story was a work of fiction, but yes, we
Yeah.
took a lot of stories from John's life, from my life, from our different businesses, different people we knew, and put them into the story. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great book, and I think anyone who listens should really get it because it's a very easy read, but it's an incredible book full of value. Uh,
Thank you.
Bob, you already achieved a lot in your life, and you have it all. But what's next for you? What's your next big goal, dream, aim? And if there is anyone who is listening today and could potentially help you get there, who would that person be?
Well, the goals, what we're really working on, Kathy, my business partner, and I are really building both our certified Go-Giver speaker program and the Go-Giver Sales Academy. So that's really our big thing, and we're very, very excited about that. And we just introduced an online version of the Go-Giver Sales Academy for those people who couldn't travel to Orlando. So we're really building that, and I think this year is going to be very, very exciting in that regard. Now limiting my speaking to about 20 out-of-state engagements a year. And I'll probably cut down a little bit more every year and do more online. So that's really as far as anyone helping me, I appreciate that, but it's not that I want someone to do something to help me if they find that they would have value by reading the book and so forth. Well, I hope they do that, but I would want them to do that not because they feel they're helping me, but because they feel they're receiving value from it. And then fortunately, the book has been a real word of mouth book. And people give it as gifts a lot and tell others about it. So it's been a fun ride in that regard.
Bob, I know we are pressed on time, so before we say our goodbyes, is there anything else you would like to advise today, or share with us?
Well, I remember something that happened about, would have to be 30 years ago, a little more than that now, actually. And I was coming back from a selling appointment in which the sale did not happen. And I remember being, disappointed in that. And one of the people at the company, an older gentleman who I didn't know very well, and I think he retired soon after. And I don't think he was even in sales. I think he was in another department because I never saw him other than in the halls. And a nice guy, but I think he saw me sort of as Joe in the Go-Giver, right? That sort of, he looked at me as having potential, but knew that I wasn't really where I should be. And I think he saw my focus wasn't in the right place. And he said, Burg, can I give you some advice? And I said, sure, yeah, absolutely. And he said, if you want to make a lot of money in business, actually said, if you want to make a lot of money in sales, he said, don't have making money as your target. Your target, he said, is serving others. Now, when you hit the target, he continued, you'll get a reward. That reward will come in the form of money. And you can do with that money whatever you want. But never forget, the money is simply the reward for hitting the target. It's not the target itself. Your target is serving others. And that piece of advice really made a huge difference for me. It turned my whole way of looking at sales to understand that selling is really about discovering what the other person wants, needs, and desires, and simply helping them to get it. So if you're an entrepreneur, I would provide the same advice that I learned from that older gentleman. When I say older, probably he's younger than what I am now, right? But back then, to me, that was, and that is to say, focus on serving others. Focus on bringing immense value to the marketplace, amazing value to others, and you'll get the reward. That reward will come in the form of money, but that's just the reward. The target is serving others.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you for coming on the show today. It's been a great privilege, Bob. And what's the best way for people to get in touch?
Best way is just to visit my website, which is The Go Giver, without the hyphen in this case, thegogiver.com. And they can get a excerpt or chapter one of several of my books. They can subscribe to my podcast if they'd like, and join the Go Giver movement.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Bob. And I really hope that sometime soon I'll see you in person again.
Thank you. I hope so. I hope it's sooner rather than later.